Today I'm looking at something I've called regrets. And the thing with regrets is that we all have them. Maybe you're like, man, I wish I hadn't done that thing that I did. I wish I hadn't made that choice. So we all have things that we wished we hadn't done in a particular way, or made choices that we probably shouldn't have made. So we all have regrets, and it's fine because we're not perfect and it's part of life. But when regrets begin to hold us down and we're not really able to do the things that we really want to do, or we're just constantly down because of regrets, then it becomes a slight challenge for us. So I'm going to look at three things today. The first one is, where do regrets come from? How do we get regrets? Well, you probably can think of one or two regrets you have. Well, the first one is regrets from bad choices that we've made in the past. Now, I'm just going to refer to a gentleman in the scriptures, Exodus chapter 2, and it's a man called Moses from the Bible. We might be familiar with him, the gentleman that parted the Red Sea and the Israelites walked through. He had a massive regret in his life. Just paraphrasing from that portion of scripture, when Moses was 40 years old, he killed someone. He got into a fight and he just killed someone, and he became a fugitive. He had to leave where it was that he had committed that crime. And for 40 years, he was just out of it, and he was in a place of regret. So we get regrets, or regrets can come from choices that we've made in the past that have altered the course of our lives. And we're now like, man, what do I do? If I hadn't made that choice, I wouldn't be where I am now. If this thing hadn't happened, if I hadn't done this, then maybe I'd be further in life now. Maybe all these things would have happened. In that instance, regret becomes a slight challenge. So what do we do with regret? Well, the Bible tells us in Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 18, I believe, paraphrasing, God says, look, in that portion of scripture, do not dwell on the past. Do not dwell on former things. So God begins to say to us, the first thing with regards to dealing with regrets is to accept that, well, that has happened. I made a bad choice then. It's in the past. God says, look, the past is the past. Don't dwell on it. But God doesn't stop there. He now goes further in another portion of scripture, Romans chapter 8, I believe verse 28. And in that portion of scripture, he says that God works out everything for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So what I'm saying here is this, which is the third point. God isn't the one that causes us to make bad choices. We are the ones that are responsible for that. But he goes on to say that in spite of the bad choices that you have made in the past that may be causing you a great deal of regret now, not a problem. He can still do something constructive with your life. He can still fashion your life in such a way that you can still get the best out of it. So what am I saying today? I'm saying that regrets happen to every single one of us. But God doesn't want us to live in the land of regrets. He has said in his word that he can, despite our regrets, still make something good out of our lives. So let's turn to God. Forget the past. Past is gone, with the hope that God can still do something constructive with our lives, and we can still live our lives to the fullest, irrespective of what choices we've made in the past that are now affecting us.